Okay, what's up, y'all? They are out here scamming influencers. Okay, they are scamming influencers, and I really got to tell y'all about this because it's really getting ridiculous at this point. So the reason why I say that is because I got a lot of emails yesterday, in particular, from different brands wanting to collaborate with me. And so I typically I get a decent amount of emails. Most of the times they're from brands that I've never heard of that are trying to get me to do stuff for commission, and I'm not your employee, okay? I am not one of your elite employees. I do not want to get commission for your products. And it's not because I wouldn't do commission at all. It's just the fact that, like, I really do have to like the product, and it has to make sense for what I'm doing with my business because I have a business. So it doesn't make sense for me to just have an entire page dedicated to making content for the people's brands when I got my own brand. So I'm already pretty particular about who I even choose to engage with and work with. And so I'm used to getting the emails. Now, yesterday was interesting though because it felt like I was getting like way more than usual. And so I ended up getting an email from what was supposed to be CeraVe. CeraVe, I'm pronouncing it right. The lotion company, the skincare company. And so, in quotation marks, because it wasn't really from them. And so I looked at the email, and the first thing that got my attention was the fact that they were upfront about what they were going to charge for, or what they were going to pay me for for making content for them. And they made it sound so beautiful, y'all. Like, let me tell y'all, they made it sound so good. They were talking about how it was going to be on like a monthly retainer, which, if you are a creator working with a brand, of course, that sounds amazing. Who doesn't want to be on retainer, right? Then they were saying that I was gonna get paid $2,000 a month, and they were going to send me boxes of products, and that I would only have to pay. And here's where it got interesting. I was only gonna have to pay. They were gonna cover 70% of the cost for the product, and all I had to pay was 30%. What? What in the world? What are you talking about? No, that doesn't even make any sense. So then I just kind of like chuckled to myself, and I scrolled up because usually I look at the email address first. But again, I was getting these emails like clockwork yesterday. So I kind of just like went and skimmed through the body of it first. And so I looked at it, and the email said it was a Gmail account. That was red flag number one, y'all. Well, not it wasn't even red flag number one, but it should be red flag number one because every time these brands try to reach out to you, these fake brands, these scammers, they reach out to you. They usually have some kind of Gmail account or something where it has like a bunch of letters and numbers at the end of it. And there was one time where it was like the name of the brand dot gmail at gmail.com. Like, it was wild. It was wild. Yes, I'm gonna tell you, they chat GPT their way through this entire thing. this, this fake pitch. It's ridiculous. It's ridiculous. And so the thing for me is that I don't know exactly like how they scam you with it. I don't know how, like, with this one was more obvious because this one is very clear that once you sent your 30% and they send you the 70%, or they don't send you the 70%. That's what happens. So you pay the 30%, and that's just the money that they get from you. So there are some other ones where like they'll ask for your PayPal account, which I'm not sure how they can scam you through your PayPal, but I figured that there's some way that they can, get your information or hack it or whatever. So there's some where they get really creative with how the scam is like played out, but they have some commonalities that you can always pick up on. So the first one, like I said, y'all, is that it has the Gmail. So if something comes from a brand and it has a Gmail account, that should let you know right there that this is not a reputable brand. right? And if you're listening to this and you are a business owner and you have a Gmail account, I would highly encourage you to invest in an account, in an email where it has your website or it has a domain attached to it. And I could talk about that more in another episode if that's something that I see people are interested in learning how to do. But it doesn't reflect good on the brand, and it doesn't reflect, it just doesn't, it doesn't give professional, you know? So as long as I mean, not as long as I can remember, but I've had a professional email account for about 3 or 4 years now. So when you email me, my email is hello@jadawest.com. Like that's my email. You can literally email me right now and you can talk to me. I'll talk back to you because I respond to it. But that's my email address. So I've always had a domain. And even if I don't have a like website put together or up at the moment, at least I own the domain and I have an email address that's attached to it because it feels more professional. And even when it comes to having an email list and all of that, it really does boost your delivery rate and all of that stuff when it comes to your email too. So it looks good, it gives professional. So if you are the one who's reaching out to brands, or you're the one who it is just running a business in general, you should definitely consider having a professional email address. Even as a creator, you can have a professional email address. I think that everybody who is operating as a business owner or entrepreneur in some way, that should be one of the things that you start off with. So just let y'all know, going forward, Gmail should be personal and not business. I don't care how professional the name is before Gmail. As soon as I see at Gmail, I've already decided that you're not credible. Okay. So that's the first thing. The second thing that lets you know that this is a scam is that they entice you and with the things that they know are really a pain point for creators, right? So if y'all remember, I told you that they were very upfront with the number of what they were going to pay for the brand deal. Most brand deals do not do that. They do not do that. If they're reaching out to you, and they're being they want to collaborate with you, then they're usually going to ask you your rates, or they are going to offer free products. And this is not the ones where they offer it and they ask you for a commission. This is more like, this is just like a truly gifted thing. Like they just want to gift you with their products. And if you like it, then they encourage you to make content about it. But that's only, again, if you want to. There's no obligation to post, right? So those are the only two things that I have seen from brands that are reputable. Now, there are times where if you are on a platform where they advertise different opportunities for creators for collaboration, then they will have the rate posted on the actual post. But when it comes to reaching out to you, they won't do that. They will not discuss, they will not just come out with a number, right? That's the first thing. The second thing that they did in this email, which if you're not paying attention, you can start to fall into this, especially if you're in a place where you're like, I really would like to make some money with my content. They had it set up where you would get paid on a monthly basis. Oh, they had a retainer, right? You would get paid on retainer. Again, that's not something that happens. That's something that will happen in negotiation. That's not something that they would just upfront and tell you. And when I saw that it was also for they cover 70% and you pay 30%, that's another red flag. Because if a brand is working with you, if they're whether it is for free, whether it's like a gifted thing, or whether it's a paid thing, they are going to cover the cost of the product. You're never going to have to cover the cost of a product. And if they're asking you for it, I would reconsider working with that company. Because if you're legit in doing that, that's horrifying. But most times, more often than not, if they're asking you to pay in any way, that's because it's a scam. They're going to take that money and they are not going to pay you. anything. Okay. So those are my disclaimers. All right. Be careful out here in these streets because they are definitely scamming influencers, they're scamming content creators, and they are playing on the insecurities, not insecurities, they're preying on the desires, like the needs of people to earn a living with their content. And so to give y'all like an example of a good one, because I told y'all I had a couple yesterday. Another company reached out to me. It's first of all, it's a company that I know of, which is good. But it also is a company that oh, that brings up another good point. It's also a company that I've seen collaborate with influencers already. That's another one. That's another big sign. Like if you don't see these brands already collaborating with people and working with people, that might also be a red flag. Like, I don't really see y'all working with influencers like that, especially influencers like me. That's another sign, like y'all not doing y'all research. Okay, y'all just doing whatever over here, or you're scamming me. But anyway, so this company reached out to me. They're a company that I've heard of. They're a company that I've seen work with influencers already, and they also sent me the email offering their products with no obligation to post. Okay. No obligation to post. They said, "Hey, we would like to send you products for a particular, to see how you like it basically. There is no obligation to post. This is just because we want to gift it to you, and if you feel that you like the product and you want to make content about it, please be sure to tag us in the content. But there is no, we just want to gift this to you." That is a actual gifted collaboration. That's an actual gift. Not the ones where it's like you post the content and then you can get commission and you're obligated. They give you all these deliverables. Ain't no deliverables. It's a gift. I'm not obligated to do anything but open this package. So that was an example of a reputable one. And when I looked at the email was connected to a domain, not Gmail. Okay. So that's the difference. Now you may definitely have brands, especially as you start to create more content, you definitely might start to see brands coming to you, reputable brands who just want to gift you. And that's again, like there's nothing wrong with accepting the gifts, especially if it's a product or a company that you're already interested in. I never turn it down, especially if there's no obligation to post. And so then I can just try the product out for free and see how I feel about it. But those are like true gifted collaborations. And one thing that I do want to say about those is that if it's like a true gift, then you don't have you don't have to claim that like on your taxes. So like there was like a conversation that came up where people were saying that a lot of these brands are using these gifted collaborations because this technically compensation, that now you are obligated to like report those things on your taxes. And that had me thinking about how so many people are getting that with TikTok Shop, and mostly TikTok Shop. Like it's kind of going off the rails here now. But with TikTok Shop, how so many people are getting like the samples and things like that. And because you receive those with the understanding that you're obligated to post about it, that you are now responsible tax wise for those gifts. And the companies should be taking ownership and responsibility because they're sending it to you, but they are not. So then you have to like take care of that and worry about that when it comes to filing your taxes, especially if you're receiving a lot of give a lot of product in return. If you're receiving products as compensation, then technically you should be filing those on your taxes. But if it's a gift and there's no obligation to post it, then you are not liable tax wise for that. This is not financial advice. Let me say that. Okay. You should definitely speak to a professional to verify this information. But from my understanding, that is what I gathered from it. So Yeah, y'all, that be careful out here. Be careful out here because it's getting scamtastic, and with more and more people talking about the struggles with brand deals and how brands are not paying as much as they would like and they're not reaching out. It can be very enticing and it can make you feel like you're finally being recognized, when in reality some of these people are masquerading as companies, and they're preying on the things that you are your pain points. So, just be careful, do your due diligence, re-listen to this if you missed any of the points. Don't get caught, okay? Don't get caught out here. Avoid the scams at all costs. So, that's the first thing that I wanted to talk to y'all about. I thought that was interesting cuz I did a video on this before, like a year ago, and I was breaking down like these different tips, and it's just so wild to me that they're still doing it. Like they're still doing it. So clearly it's working, on somebody. I would love to know who though, not even talk about them. I just want to know like what the scam is. I'm just curious to know. So I don't know. Hopefully one day if anyone has like fallen for them, I would love for them to be comfortable enough to share. But anyway, y'all. So here's the main topic that I wanted to talk to y'all about. So I was thinking about the conversation that we had a few days ago. And just to recap it very quickly, I was talking about the need for creators, this necessity for creators to have their own streams of income and to find what it is that they do well, and being able to take those skills, take a certain skill. It doesn't have to be all the things you're good at, but take something that you do well in, that you excel in, and turn that into a way for you to earn an income, for a way for you to monetize it. And so I talked about this mostly because there has been such a huge um there's been such a huge decline in brand deals and collaborations. Brands are not paying as much as they used to. There are more and more creators, which makes it very competitive. And I talked about this idea of creators being commodified, being seen as a commodity and not being seen as a creator, not being seen as a human, but rather being seen as a product, and the effects that can have on your self-esteem, the way that that can lead to people being burnt out, the way that that can lead to people being discouraged and just not knowing what to do now, because what was once very lucrative is now, drying up and hitting a lull. And so I really encouraged creators to discover what it is that they do well and to hone in on that, and to know that if it's not working out for you anymore like it used to, that it means that it's time for you to expand. It's time for you to do something bigger. And so in that like frame of thought, it made me think about my very first time launching a digital product as a creator. And I this is a very interesting story. Hopefully y'all think it's interesting too. But this is an interesting story because I had a like a different journey than most influencers and most creators have, right? Most times creators go into their career wanting to get brand deals. Like that's their goal. They create content, they put things out there, and then they want to start to get those deals with brands in order to earn a living, right? Earn an income. I, on the other hand, became an influencer because I had to be an influencer in order to promote my business. So I didn't have the same like idea and the same mindset that and like an influencer would traditionally. And especially now that people have seen the opportunities and the abilities, the opportunities that they can have by being an influencer, I feel like it's now that you can get these deals, but at the time I knew that I needed to market my business, and so I became an influencer by accident. Like that was never really my goal. And so I had a resale business. And so I was making clothes. I was going thrifting. I was creating content that showed people how to upcycle their clothes. And so I was doing all the things that the influencers that I was seeing and looked up to were doing, but I was doing it for the purpose of marketing my brand, not necessarily to try to get deals from companies. And so I did that for a few years before I got to a place where I was really, really burnt out. And so once I got to that place, I'm burnt out, I'm tired, I'm over it. I'm like, I don't even want to do this no more. I stopped fashion completely. And I started to discover and try to figure out, okay, well, what do I do now? Because I don't feel that same passion. Honestly, I don't even see how I can make money with fashion right now. I don't feel like my business is going to be successful. Like I don't know what to do here. Like I don't know where to go from here. And one of the biggest things for me it was that if I'm not doing fashion, I don't feel like I'm offering any value. Like I don't feel like there's anything that I can do if I'm not doing fashion. And so I was very discouraged. But I was also so tired. Like I was so exhausted. And so I just wanted to know, I just knew whatever it was, it had to be entrepreneurship because that was what I knew. Like I knew that I couldn't go back to my job like that. I knew I couldn't do that. Like I knew that wasn't the move because I was starting to feel like stuck there. And I was starting to feel like I couldn't move forward. And it just didn't, it felt like the grace had lifted from that job. Like things that I felt like I was okay with at one point were just starting to like piss me off. I could not take it no more. I could not take it. I felt so depleted. And another aspect to it for me, which is what made me really say I can't do this no more, was that I felt like I really needed to be there for my son. At the time, we had just moved to Virginia from New York, and so that was like a really big transition. I'm used to moving around because I grew up in the military, and so we were always moving every couple of years, but New York was the place that we had been at the longest. And I had never have moved with a child. Like I was a mom now. I wasn't just like a kid. And so the idea of moving and then having to find a new daycare for my son, and he's like at a weird age where a lot was happening. And he kept getting kicked out of daycare, which I did not even know was possible. I did not know what was possible. And so I kept having to find new daycare facilities to put him in. And I'm over here trying to like figure out this new job because now I have a new position. And so I'm more in a supervisor role. And so it was just a lot, y'all. It was so much going on. And then finally, the pandemic happened. And so I'm over here like, okay, well, now there is no school. There's no daycare, there's no school. I don't know what to do now. I don't know how I can like it doesn't make sense for me to have a job where I have to leave the house for hours and my son doesn't even have nowhere to go. And so, and not, let me give this disclaimer. It wasn't that he had nowhere to go, but it was that my mom couldn't keep watching him. Like there wasn't anyone who could like really give him that attention that he needs. And so I was like, I can't go back to a regular job. So I got to figure this out because the only thing that makes sense for me right now is entrepreneurship. So that was the motivation and the drive for me to not go to a traditional job. So now I'm over here in this place where like, okay, we got to make something shake. Something got to happen because I'm here now. I'm here now. So that was when I started to I started getting into life coaching and trying to learn what that looked like, right? So I took a certification. I took a couple certifications for life coaching, and I started to explore this idea of soul care, which I had never heard of before. it was weird because it was just like God just told me like soul care. He kept saying soul care. And I was like, I don't know what that means. Like what is soul care? Like I know of self-care. I don't know what soul care is. And so I spent that year really trying to learn and understand what that meant. And so at the time, y'all, the soul care was first for me to go through because I told y'all before I was at a place where I was burnt out. I was discouraged. I just felt like I had lost myself. And so I was on this journey of healing my own soul and finding a way to be creative again and not being so wrapped up in my identity as a fashion designer and feeling like I still had value even if I wasn't doing this thing that I've been doing all of my life. You know, like I'm rediscovering my identity. And so all of that was the experience like internally that I was going through. And so as I was going through this process, I was journaling. And so journaling for me has always been one of those things that I will tell people I will swear up and down by journaling, y'all. Like if you don't write at all and if you're going through a very like difficult time in your life and you're just trying to understand it and navigate it and process it and you got things coming up where you're just like trying to, you know, trying to understand yourself and make sense of it, journaling was that thing for me. Hey Lloyd, journaling was that thing for me. And so I was going through this healing process, journaling it out, really trying to understand it and discover who I am. And I'm doing all of this publicly because I'm making content about it. So I was doing different things like juicing. I had a video on YouTube go viral about juicing, which was like the most random thing to me ever because I had never gone viral on YouTube. I had never got past like it was rare that I got past 100 views on YouTube. Like that was just it was beyond me. But I started being known as like the juicing girl, and I was doing like little things with coffee, and I was showing people how I did pour over coffee. And so I just started doing different stuff. I was showing people my homeschooling journey with my son because now that he wasn't in school, I was homeschooling him. So I was just showing more of myself and more of my personality in my content and just like sharing the journey. And all of this was like this healing process and this like rediscovery of myself. So I took all of that information, and that was how I came up with this journal called the Soul Care Journal. And so I got to show y'all this journal because it's for real. Let me go get it. Let me get it. It's right over here. Okay, I got it, y'all. So these are two of them. This first one is the very first one that I made, and this was the one that I made for myself. Um, my mom got like this like journal thing, so I was able to like bind it, and you see like it has it has like all of these different tabs and stuff in it, very colorful, like all the notes and stuff that I was like taking and learning about myself. um I made this journal. I even had a let me show y'all this. I even had a wheel on here. Y'all can see it. I might have to make this smaller. I had a wheel on here that like shows your feelings. And so it was helping me to identify how I felt and, like really put in words to it because in parts of the journal, there was like a heart check in, brain dump, today's positive action. Like I had a lot of stuff in here that I was utilizing to help me kind of like navigate this time in my life and process this. And so I had this one. This was like the very first edition, my very first version of it. And then I decided that I was going to make it a physical copy. And so I went through like a publisher, not a publisher, but a self-publisher. And this was like the final copy of it. This was the second edition. And so this was the one that I ended up kind of talking about more. And thank you for the heart me. This is the one I started to actually sell. So I had made like promotional material for it. There was during the holidays, me and some entrepreneur friends of mine, we made a soul care box. And so there's like a gift box that we sold during the holidays. And so it had the journal in it, it had the candles by my friend. There was some teas in there and a mug. Like we curated like a whole like thing for it. And so I spent a lot of time like just promoting like this journal. Like this was the only thing that I had to my name as a creator. I was not doing fashion. I was not doing anything that I was used to. And so this was my first. It started off as a digital product and then it became a physical product. So that was like the process that I went through with it. So the journal the journal was really really critical for me at that time for different reasons. Thank y'all for the gifts. So here is where I felt like I did well with the journal, and here is what I wish that I had done differently with it, because as I look back on it, I realized that I definitely was moving in the right direction by having something of my own. And that's kind of how I've always been. Like, if I'm not getting the opportunities that I want, then I feel like it's up to me to create it. And I don't know if that's like the stubborn part of me or what, but if you're not going to give me the opportunity and I want it, I'm going to find a way to make it for myself. And so for me, I didn't want to wait for people to recognize me. I didn't want to wait for brand deals. I wanted to have something for myself that I could promote, that I could talk about, that I could make a living promoting and selling. And so that was the attitude that I appreciated that I had, and I've always had that, because I knew that no matter how fickle and how difficult the brand deals were, and even in terms of like having the numbers, like not having enough followers and all of that stuff, I knew that I could still have my own thing and I knew I could still build community. So that was one thing that I felt like I did really well. The other thing that I felt like was successful with this was the way that I brought in other creators, other entrepreneurs into the mix to create something around this product. When we did the soul care box, I had the idea like maybe like a month before the holiday. So in a month, I came up with this concept. I rallied the troops and like brought all my entrepreneur friends together. We designed this box. I came up with the marketing plan for it and I promoted it, and we sold all of the boxes that I wanted to sell. Hey Cupcake, we sold all the boxes that I was trying to sell. And it wasn't a huge number, but I was proud that I had the idea and I executed it. I followed through and I was able to bring some recognition to some of these to my friends who were launching businesses that I really loved and I believed in their products. So I felt like that was like, I look back at that and I was like, look, you've been doing this. Like, if anybody ever told you you don't know what you're doing, they must not know you. Okay. Like a whole marketing plan. So I felt like that was like super dope. Okay. I really gotta like give myself my flowers for that one. It was fire. Now what I do wish that I had done differently though. And I felt like I was kind of trying to get there, but I still needed I gave up on the journal too soon. Let me say that. I gave up on the journal too soon because I was learning and understanding who needed the journal, right? Okay, good. Okay, I'm wrapping up I'm wrapping up these points. So good. So, I felt like I gave up on the journal too soon because I was learning who needed the journal. As I was promoting it and as I was talking about it more and people were starting to notice me, I I was starting to get an understanding of like who my ideal market was. and who the people were that I wanted to help with this. But because I stopped and I tried to figure out the whole fashion thing again, and I felt like the journal was no longer relevant. I just kind of like put it down. And so I felt like, looking back, that the journal was really for, I feel like it really is for the creator that's burnt out. Like, and I've gone back and forth about launching this again, like revamping it and putting it back out there, making small tweaks, nothing major, small tweaks, because I feel like there are so many creators right now who are experiencing that burnout, and I can like connect to being in that place, like being in that space where I didn't know who I was anymore, and I felt so discouraged and let down by what I had tried to do. And going through this process really helped me. Like, it really did help me. And so I was learning how to articulate that and how to talk about it in a way where I was connecting with the right people with it. But I stopped talking about it. So I was never able to continue on with it. And also during that time, I was calling myself a soul care strategist, because remember I told you I was trying to get into life coaching. And so I felt like a soul care strategist. I didn't necessarily it didn't feel, it felt too generic to me. Like, it just felt too generic. Even though soul care at the time wasn't very popular, it was still too broad. Like, 'cause I don't want to help everybody. I just don't feel like I can. I want to help particular people, and then me helping those people will spread the message, but it's not me directly. Like, I can't help everybody. And so it felt like I didn't really know where to go with being a soul care strategist. And if I'm being honest with y'all, like being real with y'all, I never got any clients doing soul care work. Thank you. I never got any clients. Now, branding clients, content creation, I have gotten clients doing that, and I still incorporate the soul care, which is why you'll be in my session, you'll be in a session with me and you'll be crying and you'll be like, Jada, why am I crying? Like, we're talking about content, how do we get here? It's because the soul care is still in there. Like, it's still a part of the it's still a part of the process, but it is, I was able to like hone in on specifically what it is that I wanted to do and how I wanted to help people, and how I shine, and being able to bring those things together. So it all kind of, it all kind of made sense once I went through the journey, but soul care just by itself wasn't it. I always make you cry. Hey, Relina. Soul care by itself was not it, right? But I do feel like if I had kept going with it and like tweaking it and revamping it, I could have continued on with the journal, and had it be something that really helped people. So, but who knows, we'll see down the line what happens. The other thing that I did that I wish that I had done differently is that when I launched it originally, remember I told y'all that I launched it as a digital product, and when I launched it for free. And within a couple of, I want to say within a couple of months, I had already sold, people had downloaded like over like 100 copies of it, which for me was extraordinary because I had never sold that much. Like with clothes, I had never sold that much. Like, I had never moved anything like that before, and it was so great to me because it was something that I only made it once, and I was able to get over 100 people to download it. And so, yeah, actually, that was one of the ways I built my email list. I built my email list with the Soul Care Journal. So this is people on there right now that's probably like, what is this girl doing? Because they they started following me from Soul Care, and they just been following me on this journey ever since. But I did get their emails. So but I felt like I was really hesitating on selling it because I felt like if I put a number on it, that I was like, I don't even know what I was doing, y'all. I felt like here's truth moment. Okay. Y'all ready? I felt like if I put a number on it, that then people wouldn't get it. Like they wouldn't see they wouldn't, that no one would get it. I was worried that if I made it cost money, that no one would use it or no one would buy it. And so I was really afraid to sell it for a long time, like a long time, which, if I'm being realistic, was the reason why it took me so long to make the soul care box that I sold at the end of the year. I felt like if I had came to that understanding and if I like got to that place sooner, that I wouldn't have it would have I would have been able to kind of conquer that fear earlier in life or in the process. And so that was one of the things that I definitely regret doing, because what I was seeing with people downloading it, and people not only recognizing me for soul care and like making it something that people actually knew about, because so there was a lot of people who didn't even know what soul care was. So I was literally like I was putting people on. So I I just did not understand my influence at the time. And so I downplayed it a lot, and it ended up being one of those things where I missed the evidence. Yeah. I missed the evidence that what I was doing was a proven concept. It was something that worked. It was something that helped people. And because I created it, I absolutely deserved to be compensated for it. So that was 20, I want to say that was like 2021, 2020, 2021. Yeah. That around those 2 years is when all of this went down. And so those are the things that if I were to like talk to someone now as a creator, or even just as a business owner, because again, y'all, like I was an influencer by accident. I was an influencer by accident. I had to be an influencer to market my business. And so whether you are a creator or whether you are running a business, I really want to encourage you to recognize the evidence before not before it's too late, but recognize the evidence that what you're doing works. Because there are so many times where we feel like we have to do so much in order to like earn the right to charge for what we do, and that we have to get all of this notoriety, or all of the like these imaginary benchmarks that we make for ourselves, that we use to determine when we're worthy to be compensated for something. And that's not fair. That's not fair to you. That's not fair to the people who want to support you, and not only who want to support you, but who need what you do, because eventually you start to get resentful. Like when you start to get resentful, there were some times where I would be like, "Oh, y'all got this journal for free, and it's over here doing all this stuff for people, and you don't even care. You downloaded it and do nothing, and then do nothing with it." Like I really was getting to a place where I was starting to resent the people that I wanted to help, because I was not placing myself in a position to operate as a business, in order to earn a living doing this thing, which was part of the reason why I did it in the first place. You know what I'm saying? So that would be my encouragement. And that's what I would say to anyone now, if I was helping them to develop a product, or if I was helping them to market their product, or if I was helping them to brand themselves so that they can talk about this product or this service that they have. That would be my thing. Like, you can do the free thing for a little bit, or there can be aspects to it where you don't charge a lot of money. But I would love for more people to be honest about the reason why they feel that way. Because if your true motivation is that you don't believe that you are worthy to be compensated for what you do, then that's where I would challenge you. That's where I would say, no, you probably need to charge then. Let's think about a number. Where do you want to start? Because even if I had only charged $5 for that journal, that I would have been in a much different position with over 100 people downloading it. Like, think about, like, it makes me sick sometimes to think about it. Like, and the other reason why it makes me sick, y'all, is because there was no follow up. Like, I had no, this was not leading to anything. This was not a lead generator. This was not a way for somebody to, like, there's nothing in here that says, here's how you can work with me. You can't book me. You just got the journal for free. And that was it. Ain't no bio in there. You don't even know, like, I mean, my website was on there, but did I even have a website up at the time? I don't know. I don't remember. Like, it was just, it's like, it was not, it was it was not it. It was not it. I had like little bits and pieces, but it wasn't all the way. All the pieces was not in that puzzle. So that's what I would say. That's what I would say now. Like, you do not have to. There is no standard that you have to reach in order to be compensated for it. And if you're going to go the route where you want to start out not charging for something in particular, for one, it's gonna depend on what it is you're trying to do. Okay. Because some things it's just gonna be a hard no. Right? No. Like, you're not just taking like hour-long consultations for free. That's wild. Don't you ever. don't don't do it. Okay. But something like a digital product, or something where it's not as hands-on. I honestly understand not wanting to charge something like that at first, or even if it's something where you can do it once but you can reach a lot of people doing it. There's different things that you can do that are definitely worth the investment of not charging for it because of who you'll attract. But you got to have something that you're leading people to. Like, what comes after that? If you're not charging for this, what else are you doing with it? Like, where are people going after this? You got to give them options, because what happens when it's good? Like, what happens when it works? And you're looking at the answer that people need, but you don't want to help them. Like, that's what it makes me think about. Like, man, it makes me sick to think about this, y'all. Oh my gosh. So much time. People were literally telling me how I could help them, and I was like, nope. Like, I was dismissing all of that. Like, there was okay, I'm gonna say this part and then I'm gonna get off of this, because I'm kind of having a moment right now, and I probably need to write about it because I'm a little stressed at myself. So I had a friend in particular who used this journal, and she let me know that the reason why she was able to that this journal helped her to map out her business. She was starting a candle company, and she's actually the person who I ended up collaborating with on the soul care box. And so she told me that this journal helped her to launch her candle business. And when she told me that, I was like, "Really? Like, this journal helped you do that?" And she was like, "Yeah, because I was able to process like what I was thinking and what I was feeling, and I was able to, like, in the brain dump section, I was able to put down these ideas that I had for so long, but I wasn't really acknowledging them." And she was like, Using this journal literally helped me to, like, launch this business." And she has her own journal now, and she's launched a candle business. She's revamped it, and her candles, y'all. Those candles smell so good. I genuinely love those candles because I could light the candle like upstairs, and I could smell it downstairs. That's how strong it was. But it wasn't like so strong that it gave you a headache. It was so good. And there was like this scent that she made just for me. So I was able to, like, it was like a limited edition scent for the box. Like, it was so, so dope. And so anyway, she told me that that's what the journal helped her to do. And look at what I do now. 3 years later. This. This. I went all around the world trying to figure out what to do and then came right back to the same spot I was at years ago. Years ago. Wow. Wow. So this is why I say y'all please learn from me. Learn from me. If you don't get anything else, okay, please do not reject the evidence that what you do works, okay? Stop, please, please, please don't do it because clearly you can see how long it'll take you to come back around to it. I'm so stressed. I might throw it back on up there. I might. It doesn't feel like it definitely there are some things that I would like to tweak on it. Because that's just I don't know if that's a perfectionist in me or um I gotta sit with it, y'all. I gotta sit with it. I'm feeling a lot of different ways. Cause I do believe that getting unshy, I feel like it definitely still covers it. And I think that it covers it in a way where it gives more clarity, like it gives more practicality to it. Um but it's definitely it's the difference between the soul care journal and the getting unshy workbook is that the workbook really is for people who are prepared to really like take action. And so it might be the wrong timing for you if you're not really prepared to act on what you learn in the workbook. So I think that would be the biggest difference. Like the soul care journal really is like just for the soul. But it works well for creators, the creative people. And it might lead you to getting unshy, and getting the workbook. So I'll see. I'll see. I have to see where it fits, and I gotta see if it's the right time too. Um, I gotta see if it's the right time too. But I do love how in all of this, I love how God like brings it all back, full circle. And I love how like being able to look back at this and see what I was doing, where my head was at, what I was thinking, what I was experiencing are all things that I'm able to now help people with. And I can speak to, hey Kuma, that I'm able to speak to. And I can speak to it from a place of like, and I know I've really been here, y'all. Like I really have experienced this. And so I think for now I'm going to take it for what it is and be grateful that I can share the experience with y'all and that you can learn something from it. And if it turns out that it needs to come back around, then it will. But honestly, y'all, this is the last thing I'm gonna say on this. And then Bullock, if you want to come up, let me know. The last thing I want to say on this is that I do feel like there are some things that I have made. Okay. Thank you, Kayla. There are some things that I have made that were meant to be carried on by other people. Like there's this journal, the style journal that I developed a few years ago, and I honestly believe that I started that work, but it was meant to be carried on by somebody else. Um and then with the soul care journal, I believe that the soul care journal, I think that I started the work with this, but I honestly believe that it was meant to be carried on by somebody else. And not because I'm not capable of doing it, but because there is a certain like aspect to it that that person can bring that with this framework they can really elevate it. And so I love that I can like talk about it and I can share it, but I would love to see who I created it for, like who I planted the seed for, and then the person who's gonna really like water it and make it grow is gonna be somebody else. Because I think that like when I look at this journal, you gonna send me someone? Okay. Because when I look at this journal, I think about somebody like Kayla, which is ironic because I think she's gonna miss this part. Well, she'll be able to hear she'll hear it in the replay. But when I think about the soul care journal, I think about somebody like Kayla, because Kayla, she has this energy about her, this optimism about her, and this depth of thinking that really works for something like this. Like like I feel like she would really do well with something where this is kind of like what she promotes, like that growth and that evolution and that deep understanding. I there's definitely that part of me, but where I shine is really in the strategy. I really shine in the strategy. Like I shine in the strategy. I shine in the okay, this is how you feel about it. I get it. Let's pick up that camera and record this content. Like that's me. Like that's where I shine. I thrive in that space. And then there are some people who really shine in the unpacking part of things. Like they really can like sit down and just like be in that space with you and help you to navigate it. And it doesn't necessarily have to lead to a particular point. It just is like a deeper understanding of yourself for whatever it is that you want to do next. Does that make sense, y'all? Because I've been that person and I've been in that place, but I see that if I go too far into this, then I'm going to be missing out on the piece of me that I feel really is impactful, which is the implementation. Like I love that you can understand yourself. I love that you can unpack things, but like, you know, we going to cry and then we're going to work. Like, we gotta do both. We gotta do both. I'll be on live crying all the time, but did I do the live though? Did I do the live? I did. So that's where that's like I think the biggest hesitation is that I feel like it's a great product and it needs to be out there, but I'm okay if I'm not the one that continues the legacy. So yeah, and the same thing with styling. The same thing with styling. I feel like I've dibbled and dabbled in certain areas and certain things so that I can understand it, so that when the person comes along that I'm supposed to help to move it forward, I can help them from a place of understanding. So yeah, that's that, y'all. So that was my experience launching my first digital product as a creator, and really leaning heavily into my influence and discovering myself again outside of fashion, and seeing the value that I had and being able to monetize different skill sets. And so that's if there's anything that I want y'all to take away from this experience, whether you are a creator or whether you are a business owner, we're kind of operating in similar capacities. We're just running different businesses. And so you have the ability to generate income, you have the ability to fund your dreams, and you have the ability to make things that change the world. But the biggest barrier that you're going to find is going to be yourself. You know, like that's going to always be the biggest thing that you're going to have to um face, because we are the ones more often than not that are holding us back from being able to see like the progress and to see the certain levels of success that we're trying to attain. And so for me, that was being afraid to charge for what I was doing, even though I was literally seeing the transformation, and hesitating on really like, you know, popping my stuff and letting people know that what I do helps and that I know what I'm talking about and that I do this for real. Like I spent a lot of time trying to I spent so much time trying to prove to myself that I was worthy, that I wasted a lot of time, and gave myself a lot of unnecessary heartaches and struggles trying to navigate it and figure it out, all to go back to the same place that I was at 3 years ago. So I want y'all to be encouraged by that, and I want you to not take as much time as me. If you have evidence that what you're doing is working, if you have evidence that what you do helps, then you absolutely, positively should be charging for it. And you start at the number that you feel like you are comfortable with charging right now, and then go from there. But put a number on it. Put a number on it, own it, put something out there, promote it because you already know what you're doing, and go from there. So that's my story, y'all. That's that. I appreciate y'all over here on YouTube. I'm about to head off of here and I will be on TikTok for a little bit longer. And if y'all want to meet me over there, you absolutely can. It's my handle is it's Jada West. So if you're watching this as a replay, though, I might be off already. So I'm sorry in advance. I have no idea how long I'm going to be over there. I might edit this part out later. I'm sorry. I shouldn't have said that. All right, y'all. Thank you so much. Thank y'all for watching. I hope it helped you. Let me know what your takeaways were in the comment section. The Getting Unshy workbook, the link to it will be in the description box. And until the next time, I'll talk to y'all later.